Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my review and discussion of The Lost Book of the Void by Cassandra Clare and Wesley Chu. This is the second book in the Eldest Curses series. For reading the Eldest Curses series, you should have read some of the series as well as short story collections within the Shadowhunter Chronicles. Specifically for reading this book, you must have completed the Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices and the short story collection of Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy, because this book happens after the end of Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy and before the beginning of the Dark Artifices series. This video will not be entirely spoiler free. I'll be giving a spoiler-free review for the first 5 to 6 minutes, after which I'll be getting into spoilers. While reviewing this book, I'll make sure to not include spoilers for any of the other Shadowhunters books also. So if you've not read any of the books, you need not worry. So without any further ado, let's get into the various sections of the review right away. First, let's see something about the plot of this book. Just as I said before, this happens after the ending of Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. What happens is that one night, someone breaks into Magnus and Alec's apartment and they steal away this book called The Lock of the Void, which makes an appearance in the Mortal Instruments series as well. Now the thing about this book is that it's really powerful, and if it falls into wrong hands, it can cause a lot of havoc, which is totally legal. Also, Magnus is a warlock who's of a really good reputation after some things that happened in the previous series inside the entire universe. But this might cause huge problems for him. So in order to retrieve the book, Magnus and Alec, they have to travel to Shanghai because they track the thieves who actually took the book from their apartment to be in Shanghai. So they go to Shanghai and they try to retrieve the book. They are not going alone. That's the main part of the story. They go along with the other members from the Mortal Instruments series. I'm not going to reveal who are the characters are from the series because I don't want to spoil who escapes and who does not from the end of that series. There is something going on very weird with the magic of Magnus because of something that happened during the burglary of the Book of the White. Apart from just trying to find this book, they also have to deal with the maladies that are being caused inside Magnus's body. Moving on to the characters, we focus a lot more on our two main characters, which is a really good thing if you ask me. There are multiple characters inside the book who come from different series, but the center focus of the story is just Magnus and Alec. The first book, The Red Scrolls of Magic, in this series was mostly focused on Alec rather than Magnus, but in this book we get equal points of view for both of the people. Especially I can see a lot more of Magnus's point of view in this story and what are all going in his mind, because he's experiencing so many things that he's not experienced through the centuries that he's lived in these past 3 to 4 years itself, and all those things are really realistic to read about, and getting to know about him a lot more and how he has developed into this person. He has 400 years of history, okay? That's what has made him into the person that he is right now. And despite all the things that have happened in life, there are certain tendencies of Magnus which he has not at all given up from when he was a child, which is way too long back, and they have continued on until now when he's more than 400 years old. We also get to see some things about Alec, okay? Rather than getting the backstory of Alec, we get to know more about how his mind works, okay? What are the traits of Alec? They are just hinted on in the previous series, which is the Mortal Instruments, but in this one they have been magnified a lot more, and all those traits and tendencies that he have been given different layers, and it doesn't just look like okay, he is like this. We get to know why he is like that and what are the things that have caused him to be like this in this particular way. All those things were really well developed. Apart from these two characters, I don't think there was a lot of focus on the other characters. We have characters from the Mortal Instruments series. As I said, I cannot name the characters because of spoilers. Apart from them, we also get one character whom we know grew up in the Shanghai Institute. If you read The Infernal Devices, you know whom I'm talking about, and I don't want to reveal the character's name. They are my most favorite character. Apart from this, we also have Tian, who's one of the Shadowhunters from the Shanghai Shadowhunters Institute. All these people work together in order to try and retrieve the book. Moving on to the world building, we get to know a lot more about the repercussions of the Cold Peace, which is a treaty that ends up in the end of the Mortal Instruments, and I think that it is the pitch for the Dark Artifices also. The Cold Peace is something that is so absurd, which doesn't make sense at all, and trying to down throw a lot of people because of accidents that happened and some maladies that happened. The ripple effect of that Cold Peace is really well depicted in this one. I think it is going to be developed more on in the Dark Artifices because I can see the effects that it can have on the whole of the downworld in this universe. There are some characters who can be very easily affected by the Cold Peace in the Dark Artifices, so I'm very much waiting to read that series. I have not started Lady Midnight yet by the time I'm filming this video, but very soon I'll be starting it. Apart from this, we also get to know a lot more about the politics in the Shadowhunter world and how power plays a lot of role in many things that are happening inside this society of these angelic human beings. And apart from all those things, one difference which I liked a lot was the difference in setup, okay? All the Shadowhunters books that I've read so far, except the Red Scrolls of Magic, have been located in London as well as New York alone, and apart from that in Alicante, which is the city of the Shadowhunters, which doesn't exist really. But in this one we get to see a totally different setup, which is China, Shanghai, and I should say the setup was really cool. Okay, I enjoyed seeing the various places that were depicted by the authors in this one, and the food they eat, the type of transport that they use, the culture especially. All those things were really well developed, and we also get to know a lot more about the Shadowhunter that's very much specific to China alone. All those things were very well established in terms of world building. Talking about the writing in this one, in the first book I had said that the writing seemed so seamless that it gelled really well for both the authors. But in this one, I was able to see a very clear drift from the normal Shadowhunter kind of writing and the inclusion of two different authors really clearly. It gelled well, but it was so different than how it usually is, and I did not feel it that interestingly written. Okay, because I like Cassandra Clare writing her books alone a lot more compared to her partnerships with other authors. Especially, I think this is the weakest written of all the Shadowhunters books because many things did not fit well together. Okay, they were all really good to read as different pieces in different locations. I think this author or this kind of book might have worked much better for a short story collection rather than just a whole length novel, because there is not that much content and substance in order to pack in for a novel, because some things just become obsolete really easily, and I think that's a huge drawback when it comes to the writing of this book. And I also clearly can say that this is my least favorite Shadowhunters book, mainly because of the writing. Finally, talking about the pacing, that was one plus point which tackled the bad effects of the writing very well, if you ask me. The pacing was constant. Okay, it was not shifting at all. At no point the story felt slow at all for me, because each and every step we had only higher stakes. They were not dealt that properly, if you ask me, in terms of execution, but the setting up of the stakes was really good, and it just kept the consistency of the pace really well until the end of the book. There were certain instances which were drawn out, which I liked a lot, because we get to learn a lot more about the characters and the relationships that they have developed between each other. Okay, we have all these main characters from the original series, and all of them making significant appearances in this one. I'll not say that all of them have really good use or anything, but it is shown that they have all grown together in this whole span of time, including Magnus. Okay, I'm not saying that just because Magnus is 400 years old doesn't mean that he doesn't need food growing up at all. He has grown up like wine in this one. And apart from all the other things, one thing which I noticed the most in this one was the growth of Alec. Okay, I've always heard fans saying that Alec is the most well-developed character in all of the books put together, and I'm very easily able to see that on the progression of the series. Since I'm reading the books chronologically right now, I'm able to see his growth really properly, and I can understand why people like him a lot more as a character, because in the beginning Alec is not that good. Okay, but as he develops, and when we go and read him back from the beginning and see his growth, it's really exponential. It's a beautiful graph. It seems so natural, and that's one of the main things which I liked about the writing in this one. The pacing was good, but definitely this is not my most favorite Shadowhunters book. I'm not saying that the book is bad in any way. I'm just saying that compared to all the other books that I've read so far in the series, I've not read The Dark Artifices and Ghosts of the Shadow Market alone. This is my least favorite because many things did not fit well together, yet it was a really good book. Now I'll be jumping into spoilers, and while I talk about spoilers, there'll be spoilers for The Mortal Instruments, Infernal Devices, Last Stars, The Eldest Curses, two of the short story collections, which are The Bane Chronicles and Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy. I have not read Ghosts of the Shadow Market and The Dark Artifices alone, so if you're going to discuss spoilers with them, please don't comment them below, because I don't want to get spoiled for the final series that is out so far. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the spoilers right away. First, I want to talk about Max. Okay, I did not expect Max to be occurring for such a small time in the book, but the times during which he occurred, he was like so adorable. The cutest thing that I've read so far in this whole series is Max. Okay, and the way his magic works, so out of control, and how Magnus and Alec, both of them are trying to safeguard him and take care of him throughout, offer protection for each other. That's the main part which I love the most. Okay, Magnus offers protection with his magic, and Alec offers protection with his strength, and they both love this child, okay, equally. They have multiple other things also to do in life, but coming together and taking care of the child, they just proved to be really good parents. Okay, they were really beautiful to see as a family rather than anything. And I also liked the way in which Maris was taking care of Max along with Katir. Okay, I think they are going to be a thing, I'm not sure, but I liked that inclusion of the things inside the plot also, because Maris is one of the main characters within Alec's life, because she's been supporting him throughout, if I'm not wrong, and she's always been at his side, and she doesn't give up even now. She still thinks all of them as children, not as adults, you know. Okay, even when I was reading this book, it felt so odd for me, because Alec was the only adult, and he was just an adult, not even 19, he was just 18, rightly an adult. And the other Mortal Instruments, so they are like 18, 19, not even 28. Suddenly seeing all of the main characters from TMI as adults was a bit different for me, but All of those things were really well wrapped up in this one. Apart from all those things, one thing which just filled my heart, okay, that was the best part of the book if you ask me, rather than anything else. It was Jem and Tessa's wedding. Okay, I should say I'm a huge Jessa shipper rather than Vesa shipper, because I don't like Will at all, but Jem, he's like a sweet pie. Jem is definitely my most favorite of all the three main characters inside the Infernal Devices, and ever since I read the epilogue of Clockwork Princess, this was one moment which I was waiting for, and I did not have any idea that we are going to get this one in this thing, because in Chain of Gold we get the wedding of Will and Tessa, and that is something which was not that much up my alley, because definitely I don't like Will at all. He has a lot of annoying qualities which I totally hate. I think he is an overrated character if you ask me. But Jem is precious. Okay, Jem and Tessa together are more precious if you ask me, and their wedding was really nicely done. Especially, it was a literal dream wedding. That's the thing which was like a nail in the coffin. And the inclusion of the characters from the Infernal Devices and the inclusion of the characters from the Dark Artifices in this one was also really well done, because it lays just a really good bridge between the end of the original series and the starting of the Dark Artifices, which I loved a lot. There was this little ship which I think I noticed here. Okay, we get this short story in Tales from the Shadowhunter Academy where Mark Blackthorn, he comes and saves Simon and Izzy together, and they are trapped by this other fae called Kieran, if I'm not wrong. I think Kieran was there with Mark while he was riding on the horse across the sky. Okay, I think they are going to be a thing. I'm not sure though. I also want to talk about Magnus's growth in this one, because in the Red Scrolls of Magic we don't get a lot of the story from Magnus's point of view, but in this one we get a major portion of the story from his point of view alone. Okay, because he's the person who's actually going through a lot of pain, even though it seems like power right now. And the change of Magnus's magic from blue to red, it was something which I did not expect at all. Okay, even after seeing this cover I did not expect something like that coming, but I'll say that I enjoyed it a lot, because red is my most favorite color, and having that as the color of Magnus' magic was really good, but he did not like it at all, so it was a bit annoying at times. Also, that Sventhorn or Thorn stab that he gets twice. The first time I was able to believe, because he wanted to save Max, so he might have been a little bit less conscious about himself. But the second time there is no one else around. Okay, there are just mundanes, and I'm sure Shilin would not have attacked them. The second time that he was stabbed, it was like so careless if you ask me, because I know Magnus can be kind of careless when he's cool, but the second time it just felt like it was a dead giveaway. Okay, you can just come, stab me and go. It was so obvious that that was going to happen, and it just happened. Also, Clary had warned him, which was something stupid if you ask me. Magnus would not do such a thing at all, but in this one it was framed like that. Apart from all these things, the visions that he's been getting so constantly, and his strive to save Ragnar rather than anyone else, because Ragnar has kind of been like a father figure to him, though he does not accept it and disclose it with him. They are so close. Their proximity is shown really well in this one. Also, Magnus's relationship with both Ragnarfell as well as Katrina is shown really well in this one. Katrina is more like a mama bear rather than anything for Magnus, and Ragnar is more like a father for him. I liked the way in which they gave even more layers and substance for those friendships also in this one. Next, Alec. Okay, I liked Alec a lot more in the Red Scrolls of Magic than I liked him in the Mortal Instruments, and also in this one also I liked him a lot more, because I saw a huge amount of growth in Alec, because there were a lot of insecurities for him in the main series, but in this one he has grown really well, and the way in which he has aged, it just shows how much more capable and how much more skilled he has become over the years. He is not at all given up on himself. He has accepted him a lot more. Just like always, he's trying to do the best that he can for the people that he loves, starting from his family, his Parvati, his friends, and his own family, that is Magnus as well as Max. All those things were really well tied together. And one more thing which I liked as an exploration in Alec's character was his social anxiety. Okay, it was shown a little bit in the Red Scrolls of Magic, but in this one it was enhanced a lot more and shown properly to us that Alec does have anxiety a lot more, because while they go to Shanghai, he is the only one who is not that much so open with everyone, because he's that kind of person. He's more introverted in the gang rather than anyone else, and the way in which he finds solace with himself as well as he finds his completion along with Magnus, and how he protects him during all the time, all those things were really well put together. Another thing which I felt a lot fulfilled from this book was the exploration of the PTSD that Simon is experiencing, because we know he's the only character who's been through the most in these past 2 to 3 years compared to anyone. I just appreciate the fact that they did not shove all those things away and just make him just as strong a Shadowhunter like all the other characters. He is still human, okay, and that human side of him really well presented in this one, okay. Though he is the most brave of all the characters, if you ask me, in this entire series so far. The fear that he has and his openness to express that fear, because he knows that everyone has that fear within and he's just expressing it. That's one thing which I enjoyed the most, because that funny element of Simon has come down a lot because of the trauma that he's experienced, but still he's the same Simon But just because he became a Shadowhunter doesn't mean that he has given up on all his human tendencies, that is just being a mundane. So all those things put together just rounded up Simon even more as a character for me. Talking about Jason Clary, okay, I was very astonished to finally know that Jason Clary are decided to run the New York Institute. Okay, I thought that Malec would, because he's even more capable than the both of them put together, because he's even more responsible, he's smarter, he's more intelligent, okay, he's better at scheming. And if you ask me, all the other three, that is Jace, Izzy as well as Clary, all of them, they act on instinct. But Malec doesn't just act on instinct alone, he always has a backup plan for anything that he does. And that's one thing which I've always liked, because that seems like a better kind of executing anything rather than just jumping into it and facing whatever comes. So I thought that towards the end, Jace would offer it to Malec and Malec would become the head of the institute, as it occurred in the TV show. But definitely I am not convinced that Jason Clary are going to run the institute, because first of all, they are so impulsive, second of all, they are so ruthless, third of all, they are both kind of stupid if you ask me. But Malec has this tendency to keep things at a distance and see them from a different perspective. So that was one thing which I did not like. Now, talking about some insanely horrible things that the authors did in this one. The first one was Izzy. For the potential that Izzy has as a character, I'm sure everyone might have seen her abilities starting from City of Glass through City of Heavenly Fire. She is one of the toughest characters. Okay, if you ask me, of all the 6 characters, she's the one who's the bravest, the strongest. Okay, I'll say the bravest is Simon, in terms of not at all depicting fear in any instant and just holding up her head and walking through whatever comes, facing it face to face. Izzy is one such character, and she was not at all well used in this one. Okay, it just felt like even if Izzy was not there in the plot, the book would have ended in the same way, and the entire plot was just a huge cosmic joke if you ask me, because nothing was happening as far as the plot was concerned. Because towards the end, Samuel just goes. Okay, he doesn't want the world anymore, and he doesn't want to torture Simon Moon just because the Waldrock has gone wild right now. Okay, I'm sure that he has even more power compared to Shinyon. He could have done anything to her, killed her, and then proceed on with his stuff. That would have added a lot more fire for the story. But all those just added up like conveniences, and they did not cook up the plot very well if you ask me. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the effects of the cold piece. Okay, how brutal it is in different parts of the world. All those things are really well depicted in this one. Okay, there is this group of Shadowhunters also who think that the cold piece is completely fine, because they want to be superiors for the Downworlders and just control them rather than just live along with them. I did not know the fact that Malec was one of the people who invented the Downworlder Shadowhunter Alliance. That was one thing which I just learned from this one. It might have been available in the previous books also, I just might not remember right now, but that was one thing which makes a lot of sense, because he is one of the few people who has seen Downworlders being near to them. It's made even more clear if we associate Red Scrolls of Magic with this one. Okay, a lot of those things are not even hinted like windows in the last 3 books in the Mortal Instruments, but he has developed as a character. Okay, and the things that he has done here, they have all been foreshadowed in the previous books, and all of them concocting together in this one was a pretty good thing if you ask me. So yes guys, those were all my thoughts on the Lost Book of the Void, and if you did enjoy watching today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.